And we're recording. So, Peter, what was actually your first time with Queen in the Netherlands?
The first time I was there was in, I believe, 1980. The European tour they did with the Game album.
Okay. And, well, what was your first impression there? Was it? Have you been in the Netherlands before? Or?
I'd been to the Netherlands often before. The work I used to have at Selfridges gave me a long weekend every other weekend. So at least once every other month I would take the ferry over to the Netherlands, and I had some great friends there, and it was a great time.
Okay, and well...
with Queen it was something very different.
Did you, or were you actually able to visit those friends, or maybe
not really.
advise the band
a
something?
few times I was able to get tickets for them, but I couldn't see them because, particularly during shows, there was work to be done. But it was a whole different thing. When you go on your own, you find reasonably priced hotels. You find, you have a different idea of what you need to do. With Queen, I remember the first time, I think it was at the Sonesta in Amsterdam. I wasn't used to those sort of hotels.
Okay, quite luxury.
Oh yeah. Everything, because with Queen everything was first class. The travel was first class for me. The best hotels, the best of everything.
Okay, and well, were you able to? Well, I think Freddie probably had the best suite.
Usually, what happened on tour? Because in those days there wasn't the massive sponsorship. There was nothing like that. What would happen with the hotels? John was generally happy with a suite. So what would happen? The tour would pay for a suite for everybody. But then Freddie always wanted the presidential suite, the royal suite, whatever. He had to pay for it. At the end of the tour, it was all added up, the difference between John's suite and what he had, and Freddie paid for it.
Okay, so the actual difference between the suites of Freddie and the suites of John.
Yeah, but he paid. And it was all agreed. It was all agreed beforehand. They could do what they wanted, each of them, because it generally worked out that Freddie had the biggest, Roger had the one that was just a little bit smaller, and it depended if Brian had family with him, then he would want a big suite, so that everyone's close together. But it was all paid for.
Okay, and well, how did it go usually? Of course, there was a concert, so probably you all arrive at a moment in the country, in this case the Netherlands. Was it first the night at the hotel and then the concert?
Generally, no. Generally, you arrived in the morning of the day of the show. You got to the hotel, unpacked the bags, got ready, went to sound check, went back to the hotel, and then back to do the show. Okay. After the show, go out, have fun, whichever city you're in. Then back to the hotel, pack in the morning, and off you go again.
Okay, and have fun. So maybe the Amsterdam nightlife, or what?
Of course. After a show, it was almost always a record company meal. They took the band out to dinner, and then everybody went their separate ways, whatever they wanted to do. Some might go back to the hotel, some go out to different clubs.
Okay, but of course, you were Freddie's PA. Did that also mean that you had to go with him, or
Oh
did
yes, of course. That was part of the job, was just to take care of him, to make sure he was okay, pay the bar bill.
Okay, do you have any funny stories that happened during those times?
Um, Not really. It was like for the first visit there, it was really it was a different life for me. It was, because the thing is, even in touring, there were two extremes of Freddie's life. There was the stage shows. There was this massive performer. There was then so much adrenaline after a show. So Freddie out, enjoying himself, having a great time. But then in the mornings, there was the quiet, reserved Freddie. Person who just wanted to get up and just sort of think his day through,
Okay, really.
So that even on tour, there were the two extremes.
After the performance, he was maybe in such a rush that he just went on, or
After you can ask any performer, whether it's an actor on stage, whether musician, after a show, you have, because of the audience reaction, everything, you have got so much adrenaline rushing through you. There's absolutely no way you can just, oh fine, it's finished, have something to eat and go to bed. It's just not possible.
Of course, the audience gives such a kind of energy.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, one thing I will say, that the band always looked forward to Holland, and because when I was with them, the shows I did with them were all in Leiden.
Yeah.
The audience there was wonderful. You can actually look through, because there are so many shows on the internet now of Queen, and you just listen to the audience reaction, and you listen to the shows. I think all 4 of the Leiden shows that I was involved with were actually very good shows. There were times that Freddie wasn't as good as he should be. Sometimes the voice wasn't there, he was tired, whatever. But with all of the Holland shows, they were good shows.
Yeah, well, when I think back of recordings I heard, the thing that comes up in my mind is the audience singing "Ole, ole, ole."
Oh
ole.
yeah. No, I don't know what it is about the fans in Holland, but they really, I mean, I'm not saying that the rest of the fans aren't as good or anything else, but there's something special with them. The way they react to a show, maybe with all shows, not only Queen, maybe it's just in the genes.
Yeah, maybe. But at least, I think to the concerts I've been myself, and unfortunately that's only after Freddie.
Yeah.
The response was just fantastic.
There is
There's a
something
certain
about,
atmosphere, I think.
There is. And I don't know if Runenhalle, where the Leiden shows were, I don't know if that place exists anymore. But
no, it doesn't.
Yeah. You see, history doesn't wait. Modern day, for things that happen now, history isn't important, which is a shame, I think. The same here. So much is disappearing because it doesn't fit in with making lots of money. But there was something about that venue in Leiden that just really created, and the sound was very good there.
Okay, really? Because I would
mean,
expect
it was a big box.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Tripp, who was the front of house sound, knew exactly how to get the best out of it.
And was it quite a lot better than the usual place?
No, because the thing is, when Queen toured, they almost always toured the same venues. Except, okay, then they got bigger and bigger, did stadiums and all the rest. So,
Yeah.
but the crew were always learning, and they always remembered, oh, okay, yes, okay, this place you have to do this, we have to do it like this, we have to. And the thing is, with Queen, they had an amazing crew. Without the crew, the shows would not have been as good. You know, everybody knew exactly what they had to do.
Yeah, of course. And well, that's maybe also a thing, for instance, with Live Aid that was.
The reason, you know, the reason that Queen were so good is because all their lives they've been perfectionists. For that 20-minute section, they rehearsed for 4 days. I doubt if any of the other people who appeared did any rehearsal. Maybe they did. I mean, I will not say no, they didn't. But so many people, even now, for charity shows, these big shows, they think, look, I know my songs, of course I do. I don't need to, you know, practice it. And they just go on stage, do their songs and go off. But Queen have never been like that. To do, as I say, 20 minutes, it was 4 days of rehearsal.
And for instance, for a tour, how long would a rehearsal be?
Generally, it was about 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks to get the show ready. So 2 weeks for a 90-minute, 2-hour show.
And of course, every country has its own preferences. If you look at Holland, were there anything that they especially did that they didn't do in other countries, or maybe
not
bring
really, because the thing is, they had specific sort of songs for different countries. Like whenever they were in Japan, there was always Teotoriate, but they didn't do anything in Dutch.
It would be so great for Brian to play the Wilhelmus.
Someone should suggest it to him.
Really? And what was his reply?
No, someone should. Then yeah, get him to do it. You know, Brian, he likes to make the fans happy.
Yeah.
He does so many things just for one-off shows that he will learn. He'll sit in his hotel room and he will practice on his own. The fans are very, very, very important for the band. They always have been. With Freddie, when he was inside Garden Lodge, behind the walls, he could wear whatever he wanted. He could wear a mismatching tracksuit, slippers, didn't have to do his hair. But as soon as he went outside the gate, he knew he belonged to the fans. So he would always have the trainers, the jeans, leather jacket, glasses. He would become who the person the fans expected him to be.
So the change from the actual regular person to the rock star.
Yes, yeah, because this is what the fans expected. And Freddie was the first person to admit that he wouldn't have had Garden Lodge, he wouldn't have had everything inside it if it wasn't for the fans. I think there was only one time I've seen him totally refuse to do an autograph. And that was in a restaurant. I mean, we'd walked in, there was a group of us, we walked in and I saw in the corner a table, 2 people. And so, okay, we knew that there were fans there. Ordered the meal arrived, and then Freddie literally was putting a fork to his mouth and someone came and said, oh, will you sign this?
So actually extremely the bad moment, the worst moment.
And the thing is, Freddie, in 1, 2, 3 words, told them to go away. And they did. But at the end of the meal, when we were leaving, they were still there, sitting there. Freddie went over to the table, signed it, and left.
Okay, so in the end he did it.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, he would walk outside the door, and there would be someone waiting, a fan waiting for a photograph or something, and he'd do it. He would do it.
Sometimes that must be so annoying, I think.
Of course, but as he said, without them, I have nothing. And also, you know, when he did just shows, of course, it is totally impossible to have eye contact with 10,000 people. But he was able to make every fan in the audience believe that he was singing just for them. He had this way about him, the way he could do things. And because it was his way of giving something back.
Okay. Yeah, well, of course, I only know it from the videos and stuff. Did you, by the way, actually went to Holland for something else with Queen, award ceremonies or something?
No. The thing is, Freddie, I think the only places Freddie went to without a tour involved was Japan and Ibiza. He actually went for a 2-week holiday to Japan, which ended up being 3 weeks and spending an absolute fortune. And the other times he would just get the private plane and take friends over to Ibiza. He didn't like holidays. Holidays for him, again, were a waste of time. Time that he never knew how much he had.
Okay, so the only time he really took a holiday was more for getting out at a few places he knew, or?
No, I mean, as I say, the only places he really went on holiday were Japan and Ibiza. Those are the only places he got away. I remember out of 12 years of being with Freddie, living in New York, doing, you know, touring, everything, I only saw the tourist attractions in New York when I was there with my father for 2 days in 1991. But I'd spent months and months there before then, and never once did we do anything tourist.
Just too busy with life.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. I think we're there.
You're welcome.
I don't know.
20.